fellow countrymen and women. These are our ministers and permanent secretaries at the front bench, representing the various ministries and answering the questions that matter to us. Join the conversation. This is the front bench.
This is the front bench, tracking the promise. How effective is monitoring and evaluation of the Sustainable Development Goals 2021 to 2026. That is our topic tonight, and I do have senior officials from the Office of the Prime Minister. We shall be diving deep into the subject matter, but of course, not forgetting that we are also coming to you live on YouTube, on our X handle, but also on our different 11 radio stations. The front bench is live. I am Jethro Kasaiji. Right Honorable, thank you so much for sparing time. You are the Minister for General Duties. A Ugandan out there may want to understand when they say the Honorable Minister for General Duties under the Office of the Prime Minister. What is your core mandate?
Good evening once again. I'll begin with the core mandate of the Office of the Prime Minister, where I belong. We derive our mandate from the Constitution of Uganda, Article 108A. And our biggest responsibility as the Office of the Prime Minister is to coordinate the whole of government and to lead government side in Parliament. That's why the Prime Minister is called the Prime Minister of Uganda and the lead of government business in Parliament. So let me begin the side of coordination. Under coordination, the responsibility lies with the Office of the Prime Minister to coordinate the whole of government, all departments, all ministries, all agencies as they do their work, but also to coordinate also with the private sector and also coordinate with the civil society organization. So the Prime Minister has that responsibility. So under coordination, what are the major activities, or to simplify it for the ordinary person? The Prime Minister and the people in the Office of the Prime Minister hold meetings both at political and technical level, bringing together the different departments, different agencies together, depending on the issue at hand for discussion. And once the discussion has gone on and the decision has been taken, those ministries go and make sure they implement what they required to implement, or improve on what they've been doing. But when the Prime Minister is fully aware of what they are doing, and even where it requires resources, a decision is taken, and it's also the responsibility of the Prime Minister to make sure the Ministry of Finance releases resources to those ministries. Still under coordination, we have monitoring and evaluation. Our office monitors service delivery, monitors implementation of government priorities, national development plan, all policies, but also informing policies, changing policies together with the ministries that are in charge of that particular implementation of that particular policy, and making sure we evaluate the performance of that particular policy or that particular program or that particular project in the government. So we do it for in a central government, and the commissioner have come with Commissioner Timothy Rubanga is the commissioner in charge of monitoring of central government. But we also have Commissioner Mayanja, who heads the team that monitors local governments. And also we have a commissioner who heads the team that monitors agencies and the civil society. So that is also part of our work. But also still under coordination, we have the SDGs. You know, the Sustainable Development Goals under the Prime Minister, in the Office of the Prime Minister. So we have a secretariat, and it is headed by Dr. Albert Byamugisha, also with the team, to make sure they coordinate all, they monitor all the 17 sustainable goals and all the indicators, and especially those, the 201 which are applicable to us, because some are not applicable to us, especially those that fall under the blue ocean. We have few, we don't take all since we are not in the ocean. We look at the lakes and the rivers and the water bodies and the swamps. So that is the, then now under coordination, we also have the role of, when you look at the article that where we derive our mandate, we also have where the president who can give us work, can give the prime minister work. So once the president has given a directive or has given work, it is the role of the prime minister, the office of the prime minister, to make sure this is done. We follow up and we make sure different ministries are brought together on the same table to discuss and have work go on. Now, under that, that's where you find under the office of the prime minister, we have the affirmative action ministries. That is where we have Ministry of Luwero and Luwero, Rwenzori and Busoga. We have Ministry of Karamoja. We have Ministry for Teso. We have Ministry of Northern Uganda Rehabilitation. We have all of those. Those are now assigned to the Prime Minister by the President. Now, that aside, we also have the title of Lead of Government Business in Parliament. The Prime Minister also has the responsibility of leading the government side. You see, when we sit in Parliament, on the right side of the Speaker is government side. That is where the ministers sit, and the members of Parliament who are on the ticket of the ruling party, and those who have agreed to work with the ruling party, especially now I'm talking of the independents. Now, when it comes now to, on the left side, it is the opposition. The alternative government sits on that side. So they made arrangements these days that in the middle of Parliament, it is the army, those who represent the army, but also independents also sometimes sit there, depending on whichever side they want to belong. So when it comes to Parliament, it is when we are going to begin a session, the Prime Minister, before I even come to the session, when we are going to begin a new year, the President gives what they call State of the Nation address. When he gives State of the Nation address, he states what will be government business, the priority business of government in Parliament for that particular year. So when the President has stated that clearly, now the Prime Minister carries that to the business committee, which is chaired by the Speaker, deputized by the Deputy Speaker, and it spells out, hand-seen officially, the work of government for that particular financial year. But in terms of legislative business, gives it back to the business committee. Then the business committee decides on when should this be done. Okay. So once that has been done, the Prime Minister has given in the legislative agenda to the business committee under the chair of the Speaker. Then now, that is part of it. So another schedule for the Prime Minister in the Parliament, the Prime Minister is the one to organize. It's like, let me describe it, it's like we've gone for football. Let me use that. We've gone for football. It is the Prime Minister to organize and say, you Minister of General Duties, sit here. You Minister of Works, today your business is not on, sit there. Minister of this, it's like you organize your troops. You have to deliver. You have to deliver for government that this is what we are supposed to do today. We've come. Who should be near the Prime Minister here? Who should sit the other side? Who should be there? So that work goes on. And that's why you see the one who coordinates work on the legislative side is the government chief whip. That's why we also have the office of the government chief whip falling under the office of the Prime Minister.
Right.
So.
No, sorry, you have clearly stated and painted a very good picture, but a Ugandan there has very many questions regarding coordination, monitoring, and implementation. Ugandans say, yes, we do have the policies, we do have the laws, everything is in place, but implementation, that is where the issue is, and it is under your office, right, Honorable?
Yes. Implementation is done by the different ministries for that particular sector or particular program or particular project. Now we are operating under NDP 4, under National Development Plan 4. We in the office of the Prime Minister have the secretariat to make sure we supervise the work of all the programs, the 20 programs under NDP 4. So when this the different ministries are operating, the ministries are being grouped, and we call them programs. So the secretariat in the office of the Prime Minister, which is under the second deputy head of public service. You know, we have head of public service, who is Madame Lucena Chobe Mbonye, is deputized by a first deputy, who is also the deputy secretary to cabinet, but also have the second. Now the second deputy sits in the office of the Prime Minister to supervise and make sure and coordinate, help to the Prime Minister to coordinate the implementation of the National Development Plan 4. It's a new office. That's why I'm bringing it out, because I want people to know it. So when we are beginning a financial year, you know, we have what they call the budget call circular.
Yes.
Now, when that one, every ministry is given how much they will do and then they decide how they are breaking down for the different activities. When that is done, then the budget process goes on until we conclude, until the budget is approved in Parliament. Then it is we have the budget day, which is usually between 12th or 13th of June. Now, every ministry goes back and implements based on what they put in the budget. So as they are doing the implementation, the office of the Prime Minister goes to monitor what they are doing. We in the office of the Prime Minister go to monitor what they are doing. And as we monitor, we also have, Mr. Lubanga will explain, we have also different programs which we use to monitor. There are tools we use to monitor. So after the technical people have monitored, even we, the political people have monitored, then we get back to the drawing, to the table under the chair of the Prime Minister. This is what is happening this way, this is what is happening this way. Where it is good, we say thank you. What is not going on well, we must explain what reasons, why things are not going on well. What can government do? Then the different solutions are discussed with the sectors, and then we either go back to improve, or even call on for more resources from the Ministry of Finance, or we even go to cabinet and explain this is not going on well, this is going on well, and we require more resources. It may require more resources in terms of manpower. It may require resources in terms of logistics like transport. It may require the team going out to benchmark and come and bring the good practices here. It may require, if it is local government, it may even require sitting with the local government and find out what is the problem with that particular local government. So let me give an example. Like we have an annual review we always do with the local governments, and they are evaluated by Office of the Prime Minister with the Ministry of Finance in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of human resource, in terms of roads, in terms of agriculture, and all of that marks is awarded to the different local governments. And when marks is awarded, the best is given more resources for the following financial year. And the worst are now put on a special program for training. And sometimes we work together with development partners. World Bank has always been coming in to support us on that. And they support us. The local government, which performed poorly, mostly the last 3 or the last 5, depending on the availability of resources, are helped. A team is set up to help them. They work together with them the whole year, and they keep on improving.
Okay.
So it's a cycle. It's a cycle. But also, when let me give an example.
Right, Honorable.
Like when we went out to do monitoring and evaluation, in local governments, we realized there are what they call abandoned or idle projects that was put in place that are not useful to the community. Let me give an example. There is a community where they put a milk cooler where there are no cows, there is no milk. And yet there are those communities that require that service. So now that's when we realize as government, there was a mistake here, we need to improve. And then we interchange. But there are those who you find which were set up that there is no electricity, like the milling machines, the silos, and there is no electricity. Then we run back to the Ministry of, because it may have been done by a ministry, we didn't coordinate properly in that particular area, and some of them we inherited them. You know, when you take on an office, you take on both the assets and liabilities. Then we call on the Ministry of Energy to go and put power, to extend power to those places so that those utilities can be used. So that is our work.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Dr. Albert Byamgisha, Head of Secretariat, talking about Sustainable Development Goals, something that was adopted by United Nations 2015. We are in 2026. We have a goal that we have goals to achieve by 2030. Of course, putting into mind not leaving anyone behind. A Ugandan may want to understand clearly the sustainable development goals that we are talking about at this particular time.
Thank you very much. Good evening, viewers. Uganda, with other United Nations countries, adopted SDGs in 2015, September 2015, and adoption started in 2016. Government developed a coordination framework to support it in implementation, in monitoring the implementation of the SDGs. Here we are talking of 17 goals with 169 targets measured by 232 indicators. But for the case of Uganda, as the minister said, we have 201 indicators which are eligible measuring. And from 21, we had 45 data points, indicators, which we used to measure the performance on the SDGs. But now it has gone up to 148%, meaning that we are able to measure 3/4 of the SDGs, and we are actually the first and best in Africa in terms of the indicators. So we have been able again to domesticate the SDGs. What do I mean by that? We have localized and mainstreamed the SDGs into the National Development Plan. Now we are measuring at least 95% of our targets are in our development plan. So that makes us easy and able to budget for these indicators and then be able to manage them. We have integrated the SDG indicators into the national standard indicator framework, which is at 4 high-level hierarchy. It has a 4 high-level hierarchy, which helps the government or the office of the Prime Minister to measure progress at policy, strategy, program, and operation. And then we have a metadata which we have developed with UBOS to support in the measurement of all SDGs at different levels, both in the local government and the central government. And as a result of having a coordination framework, which is operationalized by the roadmap, which was developed. This roadmap is aligned with the National Development Plan. And it gives roles and responsibilities of state and non-state actors when we are working on that one. So when we are monitoring the implementation of the SDGs, definitely everyone is concerned, both government and non-government.
Doctor, which are these SDGs are we talking about? There is a wananchi there who is watching you. We could be using a technical term that they don't understand.
The 17 goals we are talking of elimination of poverty as goal number 1, then hunger as number 2, then number 3, health for all. Then we are talking of quality education for all as goal number 4. Then we are talking of gender equality as goal number 5. Then number 6, we are talking of water and sanitation. Then number 7, we are talking of sustainable energy, having sustainable energy. Then number 8, we are talking of economic growth and employment. And then number 9, we are talking of infrastructure and the innovations. Then number 10, we are talking of inequalities. And number 11, sustainable cities. And then number 12, we are talking of consumption and production. And number 13, we are talking of climate change. You know, here we are emphasizing on protecting the planet, and that one is measured by goal number 13, climate change. Then number 14, life below water, and number 15, life on land, and number 16, we are talking of peace, security, and strong institutions. And then the last one, 17, is partnership. And they are usually classified into 5 P's, using 5 P's. Okay. The first one is the people, where we are saying that all the people should not be, no one should be left behind. And then we are talking of protecting the planet as the second P. Then we are talking of peace and security, and then partnership, all of it leading to prosperity of the people. So the aim of SDGs is to make sure that no one is left behind.
Thank you. Mr. Timothy, you are the Commissioner, Evaluation and Monitoring in the Central. Having understood the 17 SDGs that we do have and we must achieve come 2030, how does your report look like for the wananchi there, the fact that you've monitored, you've evaluated all these 17 SDGs? Where shall we be come 2030? We are in 2026.
Thank you, and good evening, listeners, once again. So what government of Uganda did was to mainstream the SDGs in our National Development Plan. And what that means is to translate the commitments of government in terms of meeting the requirements in those 17 SDGs in our national development processes. And in the Office of the Prime Minister, our responsibility is now to track the implementation of those commitments by sector, by every ministry, and by every local government. So at the beginning of the budgeting and planning process, at the beginning of every financial year, every ministry and every local government, based on the resources that Parliament allocates to them, commits to implement some of those commitments. For example, underwater, internationally, there is a requirement to meet a certain minimum level of safe water coverage. So what the Ministry of Water and Environment therefore does is it looks at the resources that has been budgeted to the ministry and sets a specific target on what we should achieve as safe water coverage in the country. Our responsibility in the Office of the Prime Minister is to track the implementation of those commitments to ensure that we are not just fulfilling the national objectives, but we are also responding to the international commitments. And what government has done is to digitize this process. So we have rolled out an NDP management information system, which has digitized all these processes. So you can now track information on implementation of these commitments right from every sub-county level, from every local government, and in every ministry at any one moment in time. And in that way, we are able to follow up with the slow implementing institutions, and we are also able to report on some of the challenges and lessons that are useful in informing better implementation of government commitments.
Commissioner, talking about some of the SDGs that still seem to have stagnated, however much you could be doing whatever it takes, like gender equality, zero hunger. What plans do you have for those?
So the respective government ministries have different plans to address that. As you know, for example, there is a lot of focus now on implementation of livelihoods programs in the country. The main one is the PDM, implementation of the Parish Development Model, and the amount of emphasis and focus that government has put in the implementation of that program does not need explanation. You know that annually, government is committing more than 1 trillion shillings towards that program. And there is a lot of effort to improve in terms of targeting, supporting the community-based cooperatives, the SACCOs, and the enterprises that are being generated and supported under the PDM. But in addition to that, government has put in place a number of other programs such as the EMIOGA to support development of enterprises and improve livelihoods and incomes of the citizens. In terms of the other indicators, such as in the human capital development, again, our national efforts to improve universal primary education, universal secondary education are known, and increasingly government is constructing more schools, training more teachers, and improving the education system in order for us to be able to meet our targets and commitments in terms of empowering our people and improving the human capital of our citizens.
0709602592 is our WhatsApp number. Please, if you're watching, send in your question or comment regarding what we are talking about, tracking the promise and how effective is monitoring and evaluation of the SDGs 2021-2026. Right, Honorable, before we go for the break, you did talk about the implementation, the coordination, the monitoring, and what is being done by the Office of the Prime Minister. How have you ensured that all this is actually focusing and looking at service delivery and the real outcome for the citizens?
We have managed to do that, one, by using the human resource we have, both at the center as Office of the Prime Minister, but also staff in the ministries and also staff in the local governments. Let me give an example. How has government done in terms of roads? There are roads that are under central government. Those are worked on. You people commonly know UNRA, but now it's back to the Ministry of Works. So they have to work on the roads. And when they are working on the roads, they work on the major roads. The major roads that join us to our neighboring countries, roads that join the districts. Then we have roads that are worked on by local government. And the roads that are worked on by local government, you remember very well, the president, under the leadership of His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, now every district gets the 1 billion for roads, and that started this term. But even those, the money they used to get before, either 300 or 600 million before the 1 billion came, they also get that money. And they also work on those roads. But there is also money that goes to the sub-counties, with the exception of the new sub-counties, especially the town councils, money that goes on to the sub-counties to work on the major roads in those sub-counties, to easy access to markets, to easy transportation of goods to the market. So it depends on the particular. So when the central government works on the big roads, government is delivering. That is service delivery. When the districts use the 1 billion plus to work on the districts, the roads, the major district roads in the districts, that is service delivery. So when even the sub-counties do that, that is also service delivery. Now it is our role as Office of the Prime Minister, together with the Ministry of Works and the Ministry of Local Government, to make sure that money is utilized well. There is value for money. And if there is no value for money, it is our responsibility to bring those people to book. And how do we also do that now in terms of service delivery? On the side of monitoring, we have barazas. For the last 5 years, we have been in the Office of the Prime Minister. We are making 5 years, just 2-3 months away to fill up the 5 years. We have barazas. We have so far had over 210 barazas conducted in all of the districts, in all of the cities, and the municipalities. We've had that. What are the barazas? We go to a sub-county or to a community where we have announced the RDC mobilizes together with the leadership of the area. We go and tell them how much government has sent to them, to that district, to that particular sub-county. What have they done? If they said they constructed this school, we mention it. Was this school constructed? the people will say obviously yes or no. You'll get feedback. If it is for water, you say we sent here water to make a borehole for this borehole and this one, this village and this village, because the policy is at least every village should have one safe source of water. We do that. They give us feedback. Then we also now listen to them. They give us back. We ask them, what do you have? What do you say? And then they are free to tell us. So we've made the community also participate. And we encourage them, if there are issues, let them write to us, write to the IGG. We've opened up communication channels which are under these commissioners that they get feedback. Let me give you an example. I was in Bukuya, in Kasanda. And what the people were telling us, it is a new town council, and they were saying, they overcharge us, the licenses are too high. Now, we asked them what are the licenses. When they told us the rates that they are charging those people with the hardwares, smaller shops, saloons, barber shops, and we realized they are charging the rates that are for Kampala City Authority. What they are supposed to charge somebody setting up for a license to set up a saloon on Kampala Road is what they were charging in Bukuya. What they are supposed to charge somebody who is setting up a hardware shop in Kampala is what they were charging in Bukuya. We realize there is a gap in information sharing, because this is what they are supposed to sign is signed by the Minister of Trade, and that information is supposed to be shared in all town councils, in all administrative units, so that they know how much they are supposed to pay for a license, how much are they supposed to pay in terms of taxes as per paying to the local government. So it also helps us when we go out to monitor to realize where there is information gaps, and we share that information. So as we are doing that, we are also helping in improving service delivery. When it comes still to the barazas, when I've never gone to a baraza, usually we begin between 9 and 10, and we've never ended before 6. It is darkness that chases us. People have a lot of questions to ask. They want to know this and that. And we also use that as an opportunity to educate them and explain to them what the government is doing. Now, when it comes to issues like our biggest beautiful baby, that is the PDM, the Parish Development Model.
Right, Honorable. On that very point, there is also a question here, but after the break, you're going to talk about the PDM and also answer this particular question. Kindly, please.
Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, allow us to go for a short commercial break. When we do return, we shall get back with more of this discussion. Don't go away.
This is the Front Bench.
Every Wednesday, live in our studios in the heart of Kampala.
We have to change the political culture in this country, really. Who has bewitched Ugandans?
I want to assure you, as government, we shall do whatever it takes to ensure that Ugandans are safe.
We have conversations that have analysis, explanation.
This law society, this union of theirs, because they want a job everywhere, they want to be this, they want to be that, they want... No. We know it's a union.
You cannot be making a road, bitumen grade 1, in Congo for 5 billion.
But not every truth is fact, and not every fact is truth.
The argument that the General Court Martial is responsible for peace and stability is without basis, either in law or in fact.
We have been told how Napoleon was a great orator. Now, Napoleon cannot help me get food. They told me combine harvesters in Saskatchewan. I don't know where Saskatchewan is. This is a geography we're taught. Instead of teaching me how to preserve Mabera forest, they're teaching me about Rhineland. This is a problem we got. We cannot run away from it.
Right now, you hear very disgusting stories of members of parliament. Instead of discussing the details of loans, they ask for their cuts.
Every Wednesday, 10 p.m. on your public broadcaster.
Broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
My question is, what is the difference between rental tax and income tax? How comes I'm paying both taxes on my own premises. If you want to have a tin, but you are not making any income from your business, you should take on the obligation to continue filing your nil return.
Commissioner General, to invest in taxation. When people understand taxes and they know the importance of taxes and they know the fair assessment of these taxes they're supposed to pay, I think everybody will embrace taxation.
As banning groupage cargo clearance protects small traders who cannot afford to import full container loads individually and rely on consolidation to remain competitive. Cargo to come in groupage is consolidation, it's legitimate, and we can't ban it. What we have banned, or what we have stopped, is the use of container leaders. Now, Fiona, the good news I have for you is that among the new tax proposals,
now you can get direct answers. Send your tax-related questions via WhatsApp or SMS to 0790-141-887, and the Commissioner General of URA, John Musinguzi, will personally address them. Tune in to UBC News Tonight every Monday and Wednesday for expert insights and clear explanations. Booza Commissioner.
This is the Front Bench.
This is the Front Bench. Thank you so much for watching, and for those who are listening in live on our different radio stations. By the time we went in for the break, the Right Honorable Justin Kasolo Mumba was talking about the PDM. She was calling it a baby, and that is where I did interject her, and there was a question about that. A gentleman from Entebbe called Edison says, good evening, my concern is on PDM. At the level of bureaucracy and levels of one to access the money are really too much. If they can shorten for a common man, documentation is too much. Nambale Jackson from Namisinda district says most old schools are understaffed and it is very difficult to promote staff who attain higher education in secondary. What plans are in place? Right Honorable. By the time we went in for that break, you're trying to talk about the PDM kindly.
You know, PDM, Parish Development Model, is that, remember, we used to do this at the center. It was pushed to the district, now pushed now at the parish level.
Yes.
That is also one way of reducing on the bureaucracy. Because before, one would be required to leave the village and walk to the district in order to apply for any resources, whether in Tandikwa, for any resources to fight poverty at household level. But now as we talk, it is at the parish level, where you can even walk from the village to the parish. And also, the people who decide who to get are part of the community. That's why there is a parish a PDM committee at the parish level. Who are the people? It is chaired by the chairman LC2, the chairman LC3, LC2 of that parish. The chairperson of the ruling party is a member, in this case the chairperson of NRM of that parish, but also the chairperson of the youth is a member, the chairperson of the women is a member, and so the leaders of the circles in that parish. So it is the people who are leading these teams at the parish level are people who are part of the community. Your own relatives, the people you know, your friends, the people. So now when they say the bureaucracy is long, no, I don't think so. Unless there are people who are complicating, and I would love to get to know that particular area so that we also follow up, because even the RDCs are really so active on this issue, but also the Ministry of Local Government. That's why there is even a desk which is headed by a former minister, that is Honorable Galabzi, and also we as Office of the Prime Minister. But PDM actually is for everybody, all of ministries, whether you call on agriculture, call on, they all run, because we all want to see it succeed. So when they talk of the bureaucracy, the challenge is most people, most especially the youth, they want to wake up in the morning and say, that is the chairman of the parish.
Yes.
walk there and say, give me the money. No.
And it's granted immediately.
And it's given, no. Government doesn't have the money to give everybody at once. So they give people every quarter, there are those who benefit. Every quarter, there are those who benefit. But why must there be? You must register. First of all, you must be a Ugandan. You must be a Ugandan to access this money. And then you must prove that you are Ugandan. That's why the issue of the IDs is stressed. Then you must be belonging to one of the circles in that particular parish, so that the money received goes to that particular parish. Don't leave another parish to go and get money from another parish. So people must be knowing you, the very people in your area where you are. So, and all of these people will get the money. The president has assured us. The issue is when. So when you see one getting this quota, because people have been getting for the last 4 years, so that should give you hope that those who have not received the money will receive the money. The only challenge I see as we talk now that makes people come in fighting for space, saying, well, I want to be the one to get, is because some parishes are big, some are small. Let me give, when we started, we didn't have proper data to send money based on the number of the people in that particular parish. We didn't have the good, proper data on the poverty levels of every parish in this country. But UBOS, where Dr. Albert is the chairperson of the UBOS board, are working out to see that we get that data, so that money will now, after we've gotten proper data, money will be sent to parishes based on the poverty levels of that place, but also on the population in that particular parish. Let me give you an example. Like we talk now, here, this is which parish? This is Nakasero?
No.
Which parish is this?
Nakasero, yes, this is Nakasero. Yes, this is Nakasero, yes.
This is Nakasero parish. The money you are getting here is the very money a parish in Kaliro district called Kasokwe is getting. So those people in Kaliro who grow cassava, who grow potatoes, who grow yams, are getting some money like you who are here, who are renting houses, who are, so there is that, so the data will cater for that disparity. And then there are like parishes in Kampala, let me give an example, like in Kasokoso. It is a parish, too crowded, people are too many, but they are getting the money, the number is big, but they are getting some amount of money like the people who are in Nakasero, where the number is small. Or you may go for, maybe for a parish, maybe if I mention others, they may not be happy with me. Let me not risk that diplomacy issue, local diplomacy. But what I'm saying is that we are aware of some challenges, like some parishes, the numbers are high, the poverty levels are really also high in relation to others or in comparison to others. These are going to be catered for. Okay. But nevertheless, especially the young people, when the government has brought a new program, go, and they've called you for sensitization, go and learn, and really pick out the message. The message is enhance what you are doing in your home to fight poverty. But also another challenge, in most of the communities, when money is taken for PDM, some are buying mattresses, as if a mattress is going to bring money. But there are some people who have really demonstrated that with this 1 million, they've been able to change their financial status. They've been able to chase a bit of the biggest percentage of poverty from their homes. You saw how the president went around, and it actually gave publicity to this program. And those who didn't know about it, including you in offices, you appreciated it. He brought out cases of people who started, like there is a woman called Auma, with her sheep, and she works with a lot of force, very happy, telling the president how she started with the sheep. She has a sheep. If sheep went multiplying, she's selling sheep. Now this is the season when people buy sheep. You know the Muslims are fasting. For them to sacrifice, they need sheep. Now also, it has also brought out that people can make money in turkeys.
Yeah, true. Thank you, Right Honourable. I want to bring in the Commissioner. Commissioner, you talk about digitalization. The Right Honourable did also echo about it. Do you think digitalizing the entire process, you talked about how a Ugandan can easily track down what is being done when it comes to monitoring and evaluation. There is that last person, Omuntu Wawansi. The Right Honourable has also talked about barazas. Combining all these efforts together, do you think they are pushing us to somewhere to ensure that every Ugandan is accommodated?
Yes, thank you. Digitalization has helped in many ways. One of the straightforward ways is that it has improved the targeting. Previously, at the beginning of the implementation of many livelihood programs, it was very difficult to target every Ugandan that qualifies for that program because of data challenges and because it is difficult to reach some of the very vulnerable members of society. It was always very difficult to target them, and a lot of them were missed out. So one clear advantage of digitalization is that you have data that enables you to reach out to all the vulnerable people that you want to reach out to. The second advantage is that it eliminates people who don't qualify. And at the beginning of implementation, for example, of the PDM, there were many complaints around maybe some people are benefiting who should not qualify. Now, with availability of data, that is going to be history because you are able to assess the household income levels of all the people that you are going to target. For the purpose of tracking and following up implementation of this program, again, the use of digital tools has facilitated very quick follow-up of how many of the beneficiaries have actually invested in the enterprises for which they applied. How many of those enterprises are actually successful? You are now able to know how many of them are struggling and what are the challenges that they are struggling with. How can we support extension workers, for example, to reach out to people who are introducing new methods of farming? And that is a very important value that we are realizing from digitalization. And then in terms of also targeting, in terms of following up accountability for the resources, with the use of technology, you are able to track beneficiaries even when they change location. Because previously, especially amongst the youth, the experience and the reports we were receiving from the field when we were tracking implementation of these programs was that the youth are dynamic. They easily move. When they receive resources, they are tempted to move to urban areas, and because of that shift, it was always difficult to track where they have gone and whether they have continued with the enterprises for which they applied for resources. So again, with the use of digital tools, we are able to follow up, and some of them have actually progressed. We have seen them transiting from subsistence livelihoods to commercial livelihoods. So their movement and their migration to urban areas is not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes it is because they are graduating to higher levels of income.
For those who are not embracing the digitalization, what measures do you have for them to ensure that they're also incorporated within the system?
The advantage with the system that we have introduced is that we have simple apps where you can enter information just using a mobile phone. And as you know that mobile phone penetration in this country is increasing tremendously, and just about every beneficiary now either has a phone or can access even a simple phone. And because of that, we are actually able to reach them and also to get the information that we need for follow-up. So it is about simplifying the tools so that they are practical and applicable to the very ordinary citizens out there.
Let's talk about the achievements that really demonstrate, Commissioner, that monitoring is translating into delivery. Because now delivery, that is where Ugandan wants to understand basically. Because you've talked about all these other ideas, the tools, the initiatives that you have in place, but now the delivery.
Yeah, let me give an example to demonstrate to you where monitoring has added value. About 3 years ago, from our data systems, we established that in agriculture, while our national research institutions are generating a lot of new technology for improved varieties, the uptake of this technology was very low amongst the farmers. So farmers were continuing to use varieties, seeds, and planting materials of varieties with low productivity. And yet, our research institutions are churning out a lot of new varieties that improve yield, that can improve the incomes of the farmers. So after this problem was brought out by the monitoring system, we then engaged the Ministry of Agriculture and the agro-industrialization program under the NDP. And this matter was discussed within the program, and the ministry came up with measures to improve uptake of new varieties and new technologies. And as a result of that, we have seen tremendous improvement in productivity of coffee, productivity of maize, productivity of cassava. You know the story of the banana wilt and how new varieties have helped to improve productivity of bananas and so on. So that is a clear example that continuous tracking and following up of implementation of government programs and service delivery can bring out recommendations that are actually useful in improving service delivery.
Thank you. Doctor, Commissioner has talked about tracking progress. How has your secretariat ensured accurate tracking? The President, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has often talked about a number of developments that are being put in place for Ugandans to benefit. But outside this side, the Wananchi comes out and says, Oyoba Mulimba. I don't know if you've heard of such statements. But remember, this is data you do put out to the entire population for people to also understand probably where planning starts from. And I do understand that data plays a very, very big role. So how do you ensure that accuracy, putting in line with accountability?
Yeah, thank you very much. What we have done in our coordination framework was to put technical working group. One of them was planning and administrating, chaired by National Planning Authority. Then we have the data aspects. That one is the responsibility of Uganda Bureau of Statistics. And as they have indicated, in 2021, we had 41 indicators, data points, which were credible, that one would rely on, that we use to measure performance of government. But of course, on a few goals. Now it has risen to 148. So this one here is okay. It can be relied on, and we have produced reports based on 148. But this one here cuts across all the 17 goals. Now the Bureau, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, is responsible for that, and they take charge. So we as the Secretariat is to make sure that you boss make sure they do that. National Planning Authority streams and make sure all the indicators and targets are aligned to our National Development Plan. Then communication is the responsibility of the Ministry of ICT to communicate and tell the population on how we are performing. But we have been able out of that to come up with reports. We produce progress reports every year, which we discuss at the national conference, which we hold every year. And then after that, we share it with the international community. Every year in July at the high-level political forum, Uganda presents a report. And we have been able to come up with 3 big reports on voluntary national reviews, which gives a picture on Uganda's performance. So we try to make sure that we use the systems producing the data supported by Uganda Bureau of Statistics. So ours is to coordinate and make sure that what information they give us to measure performance of SDGs is credible.
But what I want you to also reiterate, and those who are watching us, that when we are talking about SDGs,
yes,
they are not part of government. They are part of government, because what are SDGs? It is to do with the way he labeled them, everything that we do. If it is to do with health, and the Department of Monitoring and Evaluation has gone out to monitor issues to do with health, whether in the office of the Prime Minister or Minister of Health, we share that information. So, because we are going to the same community. So what you do when you sleep in your bed and you rest properly, that is SDG, good health. When you wake up and bathe and you keep clean, that's SDG, good health and hygiene. When you eat, good, that is no hunger, you found food. When you pass on a good road has been done, that is under infrastructure. So whatever you do in your life, whatever you do for somebody, it all falls under SDGs. So what they do as monitoring and evaluation, either under OPM or under the ministry, the line ministry, we share information.
Okay.
So it is all shared. And when we've compiled the report under SDGs, we take it to cabinet. And after cabinet, we take it to parliament. It's after that we go to the UN to go and report, because we take a country report. And now, like,
so is it the UN that monitors what we are doing as far as achievement is concerned, or?
We work together.
Okay, okay.
They don't monitor us.
Okay.
We work together.
Okay.
So when we take that, and then they are able to compile and get the world view, get the whole picture for the whole world. We work with them. They don't come to monitor us.
Okay.
They work with the local governments. I mean, with the country, we in the country, the governments. And like he told you, that we have localized them. So it's no longer an issue of central government. The local governments also have to make it part of their budgets, of their planning. That's why we have also regional meetings for SDGs. We have in the different sub-regions to make sure we localize them. And we have even translated them in the local language. Because before, people used to look at it like, it's a UN issue, it's a UN issue. No. We need water in our community. It's not UN that needs water. We need a health center. We need a hospital. We need a road. The women have to be empowered economically and have to be protected against the bad cultural practices, but also be empowered and also empower others. So it is something that we have also worked on as Office of the Prime Minister during our term, to demystify that big thing that is UN. No, it is us at our household level, in our bedrooms, in our sitting rooms, in our gardens, in our compounds, SDGs.
Right, Honorable, you've been at the center of representing Uganda, but also representing the president on a number of summits about these SDGs. What do you think needs to be aligned together for us to ensure that in the last 4 years that we have come 2030, we can achieve all the 17 and any other goals that we have to achieve in the given time possible?
What I can say is that in this country, Uganda, you know, I'm the chair of the Africa Regional Bureau on SDGs on the African continent, and I'll be handing over the chair in April.
Okay.
But what I want to say that for us as the NRM government, our manifesto, our National Development Plan 4 are all aligned. Even SDGs, they are all the same. So when we talk of clean water in SDGs, in the manifesto of NRM, we say at least minimally one clean water point in every village, at least one. But we still have challenges, especially in communities that are around Lake Victoria, which Lake Victoria is on a hard rock which carries that lake. So it's not easy to drill a borehole. So government has come up with the different technology for communities around there to have the gravity flow, so that we have tap water flowing to those communities, because they cannot drill the boreholes, which is common everywhere. But also we have, and that is now, those districts along Lake Victoria, in eastern Uganda and central Uganda, but also we also have communities that have minerals in the ground. So when they drill boreholes, that water comes out with minerals, and the people will tell you it's salty water. But of course in English they say it is hard water. So those, we still also have those challenges in some of those communities. But you see, like now government is getting water from River Kagera to come and supply the area of Mbarara, Isinjiro, Rakai, Chotera, because that is, we have that problem in that area. And so we still have challenges, but a lot has been achieved in terms of this. Now, when it comes to providing water for the animals, you know, we want to take water from National Water and Sewerage Corporation to those communities. But people who are looking after animals, their animals don't enjoy the water with chlorine. Their intestines, there is a science there, it doesn't get on well. So for them, they prefer the valley dams, the valley tanks, so that it is not treated water. So that the people who are looking after those animals can boil the water, and it has no problem with their intestines once it is boiled. But when it comes to the animals, again, they are also okay with that water, which is not treated. So those are now things we are working, the Ministry of Water is working on to make sure we achieve this. So when you talk of the SDGs and aligning them, they are all aligned. Our National Development Plan for the SDGs and the NRM manifesto are all aligned.
Doctor.
Actually, to the level of 96%.
Wow, that's a good one. Doctor, you did talk about what you're doing to ensure that the accurate data that we have actually benefits all. The Right Honourable, you talk about that you're the commissioner, you represent on the board of UBOS, right? What are you doing as a secretariat to bridge the gap to ensure that every Ugandan benefits? Because you did talk about how you capture all the data to track whoever and whatever needs to be tracked. But there are still those who say, but for us, we are left behind. When UBOS was doing the national population census, there are some houses, there are people that were not counted, honestly. So how will those be put into plan to benefit on the number of projects that government has for the people? Now
the good news is that we conducted the census and we know where that population is. We also did a study on who is left behind in Uganda. So we know the people who are left behind. And then that's why we are saying that actually whatever is being done is integrated in National Development Plan 4, so that when it comes to funding, definitely those people benefit. But then there are some programs which government is putting in place to make sure those people benefit, when, especially when they are allocating money for PDM, the Myoga, the Youth Life Program, all those ones there. So we must make sure that now we bring out that information and translate it actually even in local languages so that people can understand up to the lowest level. And UBOS is trying to do that one there.
Thank you. Mr. Lubanga, Commissioner, in the central, where you do, I don't know if that is where you do your focus, where you do focus when it comes to monitoring and evaluation, what are your findings? Where do you think government has to put a lot of emphasis to ensure that we move a step from where we are to somewhere?
Our monitoring and evaluation system has identified a problem with the rate of implementation of public projects. And a big percentage of our projects are not implemented and completed on time. The second challenge is that there are cost overruns, and again, a very good percentage of these projects realize budget adjustments by the time the projects are completed. So there are many constraints that affect project implementation. As you know, we have different land tenure systems, and many infrastructure projects are delayed by the problem of delayed acquisition of land, right of way for implementation of public projects. And this affects projects on roads, works, energy, and so on, water projects and so on. So this constraint has been identified, and there are efforts in place to see how government can come up with a holistic approach on addressing the issue of land acquisition. For example, some resources have now been put in a fund which is going to be used for land acquisition centrally. And with that effort, we hope that the problem of delayed acquisition of land will be addressed. The other challenge has been capacity, actually capacity in the various ministries and departments, as well as agencies, to implement projects according to design. Some of the projects require technical skills, and the procurement process, as well as challenges of getting the right personnel in the right numbers, has caused a lot of projects to be implemented out of schedule. And so this is also a problem that we have established from our monitoring system, and efforts have now been put in place to ensure that this is addressed. For example, there is a requirement now that all project management units should have certified project management staff. So you need to get a certification on training on project management, at least for the CEOs and for the coordinators of this project and senior project staff. So to access a job now in a public project at a senior level, you must have certification. By doing that, we will then have adequate capacity to execute and implement these projects on time. There are other challenges, for example, delayed release of funds and inadequate counterpart funding, especially for projects that are funded through external resources. And this is a problem, of course, because of budget constraints. Government resources have a lot of demands out there, and so we may not have adequate counterpart funds. But this problem is also being addressed in this way. Now, going forward, no public investment project will be approved until the respective ministry has provided adequate budget in their budget for subsequent financial year for counterpart funds. So that by the time you start implementing a project in a financial year, you are sure that you have budgeted for adequate resources to provide counterpart funds. There are also efforts to centralize the pool of counterpart funds so that it is managed centrally within the Ministry of Finance. Because by doing that, then projects that are slow in absorbing funds can release the available resources to projects that are moving quickly. And in that way, you are able to balance and allocate the resources where they are most needed. So implementation of projects is a big constraint, but those are the measures that are put in place to ensure that there is speedy and expeditious implementation of projects.
Commissioner, as we wind up, do you think by 2030 we shall achieve these goals?
I think the country is actually going to achieve many of the goals. We may not meet all the goals, again, because of inadequate resources to finance all that we would wish to implement as a country. But I think the country is in track to meet our targets in many of the goals. As you know, we have reduced our poverty levels significantly and overshot our targets, and the projection is even better. So we will be able to meet. We are also on track to meet many of our targets on education and health, as well as on gender mainstreaming. So definitely as a country, we will meet our targets in many of the goals. We may not be able to shoot 100%, but I think we will have a good performance.
Thank you. Doctor, let me come to you to get your remarks, and then the Right Honourable will summarize and close. What are you working on as the Secretariat right now that a Ugandan needs to know? that is from your office, this is a new year, what is in place that Ugandans have to consume or wait for?
What we are working on now, annually, we prepare for a conference on sustainable development goals, but we are combining with other sectors, and as Office of the Prime Minister, the conference must assess performance of government. And within the government, you have this element called SDGs. SDGs is a United Nations framework which was developed to help countries to solve the challenges which are affecting the whole world. But for the case of Uganda, yes, we have those challenges. So we are using the SDG Secretariat to coordinate all those efforts to make sure that all the sectors actually work and produce data on those reports. Local governments do the same. For example, the local governments have developed their strategic plans. The same with central government. And all these strategic plans are aligned to National Development Plan, which is above 96% aligned to sustainable development goals. And as the minister puts it, once you are implementing the National Development Plan, the UN, the NRM manifesto, then you are implementing the SDGs. Because everything you touch on poverty, on health, education, water and sanitation, economic growth, infrastructure and innovations, all those are SDGs. So once they are done properly, as the government now is trying to do that, that's why it is in the manifesto. It's in the development plan. So we hope to make sure that we apart from national voluntary local review, we put actually the local reviews, we extend it to the local level and localize the SDGs, at least to all the local governments. That's what we are trying to do. And then work with Uganda Bureau of Statistics to make sure that data is collected up to that level, and support even the local governments to collect the data, analyze the data using the tablets which were given out to all the local governments. Every parish has a tablet which those leaders can use to analyze, to collect the data and then analyze. And UBOS has to do that. So it's our responsibility to make sure that is done. And then two, once that one is done, we produce the reports which are discussed regionally and then eventually at the national conference and take it up to cabinet and then parliament. Then after that we compare with the international world. How is Uganda faring? For example, at African level, we are at 55%, above the sub-Saharan average, which is 50.5%. So there is some steady progress.
Okay.
And some of the targets, like 25%, are already on track. And by 2030, we should be able to reach there. We may not reach 100%. No country will achieve 100%, but at least we shall reach somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right, Honorable Minister, your last remarks and maybe telling us with your findings, with the reports you have gathered, where is the demand that you've found, where you're going now to put also your emphasis as the minister for general duties?
I've realized with all that we have been doing in the last 5 years, we still have a gap on information sharing and mindset change. So we need to sensitize the communities on what government is offering them, what government services, but also to let them, to also make them understand what their rights are, so that they are able also to demand for their rights. Let me give an example. I'm combining both rights and the sensitization and information sharing. We have government, this NRM government, which I serve, groomed in NRM, has offered the community what can help us get out of poverty, but we have still that problem of mindset change. But PDM has helped because it has gone down to the ordinary person. When one sees the other one being able to fight poverty, that's the best mindset change, mindset sensitization one is given, and we are achieving in that. That's why you see ordinary people in the villages who can't even talk English will tell you, I got my money, I bought my goats, now I bought 3, now I have 7. And what I like is that when money comes, I've also learned that it brings confidence. You see a village woman very confident because she's talking about money she has been able to achieve. Yes. But the issue of information sharing, we have PDM going now to the ordinary person. But we also have a MYOGA, and we have money under the Microfinance Support Center, where the MYOGA come from. There are also grants, and there is also the Islamic money loan, yes, which is supposed to go to those communities. We've not done enough to sensitize people on issues to do with this Islamic money, which Ministry of Finance implements together with the Ministry of Local Government, the $10 million US. We need now to put in more effort to explain to people how they can access that money. We have money in the bank, under a Bank of Uganda, the agricultural credit facility, which is supposed to help people who are in agriculture or on big scale so that they can access. Actually here the bureaucracy is really too big, too hectic. And the one who was talking, this is where I also see the bureaucracy. Okay. Then we also have money still under Bank of Uganda, the COVID recovery fund for the ordinary people with the smaller businesses. This was not, the sensitization was not done well. And we have money in the money for the women to enhance what they are doing so that they are able to get to the international level, to make us compete as a country. These are things we now need to explain to people. Right. But also, most importantly, work also with make the commercial banks where this money goes through. Yes, we as government to monitor them, because they tend to pay much attention to their commercial loans, and they sensitize people on that, yet they are not telling them more about this, which is cheap money, and yet they are in agriculture. We need to up our scale on issues of sensitization and information sharing as a country.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Justin Kasule Lumumba, Minister for General Duties in the Office of the Prime Minister. Thank you so much, Commissioner, Monitoring and Evaluation, Mr. Timothy Rubanga, and thank you so much, Dr. Albert Biamugisha, Head of the National SDG Secretariat, Office of the Prime Minister. For those who have been watching us, thank you so much for keeping it UBC. Those who have been listening in online on our different 11 radio stations, thank you so much. This has been The Front Bench. Till next Monday, I am Jethro Kasaiji. Ciao.
Oh, Uganda, may God uphold thee. We lay our future in thy